Today we're going to immerse into the secrets of melody writing for composition and songwriting. Although I'll use a conventional music notation, I'll make this understandable for everyone, even for those who cannot read music. When we speak, we produce variation of pitch, and we make pauses between and within the words. Melodies have also pauses and variation of pitch that allows them to be broken down into musical cells. The pauses are determined by the rhythm, and the pitch determines the shape of a melody. Most cell separations are created through the rhythm. Occasionally, only by the pitch. The first cell usually gives an identity to the melody. When this happens, we call this cell the motif. In order to make sense, we need to make the cells interact with each other. How can two cells interact with each other? Well, the second cell can be a repetition of the first one. Or the second cell can be a repetition of the first one, but under a different harmonic background. They can keep the same rhythm, but the notes can be different. The whole cell can be transposed some steps up or down. In this case, the second cell will be a sequence of the original cell. They can have the same shape, but changing the intervals used. Therefore, same direction, but different distance between the notes. We can have this A-B-A-B structure, or we can have this ABBA structure. This creates what we call a phrase. Phrases create periods, but we will concentrate in musical cells in this video. Listeners might not be aware, but they're continuously searching for a question and answer effect in the melodies they are listening to. Some musicians call this question and answer. I prefer to call it request and reply, because many times cells don't quite sound like a question. This is a request. This is a reply. The listener will try to find this effect, and once found it, will try to find it again among the next cells. Ways to reinforce the request and reply effect. Clear rhythmic separation is a must for a strong request-reply effect. In addition to a good rhythmic separation, changing one or two strategic notes or suppressing one note. For example, this doesn't work as a request and reply. But changing one or two notes will make the reply stronger. Changing the shape of the melody while keeping the rhythm. Changing the rhythm. In this way, I create a completely different cell. Ways of delaying the reply. We will see ways of delaying the reply to place it instead of on the second cell, on the third cell, or even further. This is helpful to make longer phrases or to create phrases with only one reply instead of several replies in the middle. Cell repetition, even with a different harmonic background. This sometimes causes the effect of what I call a false reply, which is a non-satisfactory reply that needs another stronger reply to conclude the effect. Use of sequences. This is in reality another way of using the cell repetition method. Whatever applies for cell repetition applies to sequences as well. Make a longer reply. Making a longer reply helps to dilute the request-reply effect. Circular reply. In a circular reply, we make the reply to the last request become the request to the next reply. We create a short request X, 1, 2 or 3 notes long. Make a nice pause. Create a bridge to lead to the repetition of a first cell or a variation of it. Repeat the request X or a variation of it. This will act as both the reply of the request X and the request of the next repetition of X. Properties of a circular reply. The request is very short. The bridge has little personality and cannot work as a reply. The circle has at least 2 cycles. Call and response. Call and response is a very popular effect found in jazz, classical and popular music all around the world. Uses the request and reply effect, but the reply is done by another singer or another instrument or group of instruments. This is a typical example. Use all this information to understand what you're doing when creating a melody. Not all famous songwriters and composers are aware that they are actually manipulating these mechanisms, but they always do, because this information is inside of all of us, musicians and listeners. Remember, it is music composition what we are talking about. There are no black and whites here. Every case is unique. Harmony plays an important part in making a cell become a request or a reply. Remember that requests and replies can nest inside other requests and replies. We also need to consider the interpretation factor that can lead to people not agreeing which is the request and which is the reply. This video intends to give ideas and awareness of a phenomenon that you can use to create and understand beauty.